From MTN News, this is Montana This Morning.
Stage 2 drought restrictions begin on Friday, and watering your lawns like this after 11 a.m. is not acceptable. Updates in a special Storm Tracker weather report.
It's a situation that's becoming all the more often. A bear getting into trouble in all the wrong places. I'm Cody Boyer in Bozeman with how Bozeman City Police handled this one.
I think it's important to note that they didn't arrest the bear.
No.
That's not what the police were doing.
Officer Dyke, one of the best around. So
and Mike Hurd was not going to cite that person for watering illegally either. So we'll clear up both of those stories here in a moment. Meantime, clearing up is not exactly what's happening outside.
No. Air quality getting worse as we're going through the morning, and the morning temperature is actually very comfortable. Right now into the low 50s, 39 degrees out toward West Yellowstone. There is a chance of seeing a couple of isolated thunder showers this afternoon. It's not going to be widespread, but it could pose a threat of some lightning, some gusty winds, so fire danger. We do have red flag warnings out. I'm going to talk about that as we go through. Look at these temperatures. Not quite a scorcher, but pretty close. So I think we'll top out right around that 90-degree mark into the afternoon today. Across most of the area, we're going to break down that complete forecast coming up in just a few minutes.
Thank you, Matt. 6:31 now. The drought continues to worsen in Montana and across the West. Now the city of Bozeman taking some action. Chief Meteorologist Mike Hurd explains what Bozeman is doing to try to conserve water.
Drought continues to deepen across southwestern Montana, and now action plans are being implemented. The city of Bozeman enters stage 2 drought this Friday, July 16th. And under stage 2 drought, the goal is to reduce a total system-wide water usage by 20%. Outdoor watering restrictions, which include lawns and gardens. Now, for single residential homes with odd-numbered addresses, can only water on Saturday and Wednesday. Single resident homes with even-numbered addresses can water on Sunday and Thursday. All others, like commercial and industrial and government, can only water on Tuesday and Friday, and there is no watering allowed on Monday.
So in 2017, the city adopted its first drought management plan. And the idea behind that plan is to really just have a proactive plan in place for us to identify drought events so that we can restrict water use if need be, really to just ensure that we have reliable supplies to get through the summer for essential uses.
Well, what we're going to do is continue to monitor like we have done in the past and look at those indicators. And if that should be the case, then we have given the city manager the authority to move us to the next stage. But in the meantime, we're really just asking people to do what they can to conserve water, to pay attention to the days that we have asked them to water their lawns, to pay attention to the fact that we would not allow any watering between 10 a.m. and 6 p.m., no watering on Mondays, and really do their part to help their neighbors and everybody in the community to help us with this effort and make sure that we have, as I said, water into the future.
The goal is to reduce water usage by 20% in the Stage 2 Drought Action Plan. And if we cannot conserve enough of this precious water, Stage 3 and Stage 4 actions can be enforced. Reporting in Bozeman, meteorologist Mike Hurd for MTN News.
Thank you, Mike. Now 6:34. There is now a statewide wildland fire emergency here in Montana. Governor Greg Gianforte's executive order allows additional resources for firefighters. It includes the ability to call up the Montana National Guard. Already, more than 141,000 acres have burned in the Treasure State, totaling nearly 1,400 wildland fires. Governor's office says 78% of those fires human-caused. Governor is urging Montanans and visitors to follow local fire restrictions, prep homes and communities, and recreate and work safely so a wildfire is not started inadvertently. Speaking of some updates, fire activity on the Goose Fire southeast of Ennis picked up some yesterday. Fire grew more than 1,000 acres to 4,700 total. 200 people are working that blaze. That's expanded west towards Hoodoo Pass and southwest around Brimstone Creek. Firefighters say current closure boundary is likely to expand on that Goose Fire. Meantime, the Trail Creek Fire blew up by more than 3,000 acres yesterday. That fire, some 20 miles west of Wisdom, now listed at 8,500 acres. Beaverhead Deer Lodge National Forest is now in a Stage 1 fire restriction alert. That means campfires and stove fires, including charcoal, barbecues, and grills, are prohibited, except in developed recreation sites with fire pits. There are also some areas and trail closures. Please check our website for details on those. And not far away from that, the Alder Creek fire west of Wise River has now burned about 1,400 acres. No containment on that blaze. Crews plan to continue to work on the fire line in the Alder Creek drainage, and they are installing sprinklers and laying hose to prep for burnout operations. Those crews are also providing structure protection for cabins and homes in the path of that fire. 6:36 now. Another black bear was at the center of attention in Bozeman community this week after getting into someone's garbage. It's bringing up a wildlife issue associated with this season's drought. Dan's Cody Boyer gets to the bottom of the problem.
Some may call them close encounters of the bear kind, something that has increased in how common they've become in the last few years here in the south side of Bozeman, including here at Bogart Park. That's because more black bears here in this spot of town have been getting into more trouble in all the wrong places, including with people's garbage cans. One such recent case involved Bozeman City Police, with one getting into someone's watermelon.
It's not natural behavior or wild behavior that we want to see in the bears.
Hey there, how you doing? A short walk through Bozeman's neighborhood south of Bogart Park and a few knocks on doors, and you'll know that a situation like this one with the cinnamon black bear isn't the first for that area.
We get about up to a dozen calls related to bears every day at our Bozeman office here in Montana Fish, Wildlife and Parks.
Now, I spoke with a few folks who didn't want to go on camera, each telling me that they've seen a bear like this one poking around their homes recently. One woman told me he got into her garbage can. Another pointed me to a home where he stole watermelon from her backyard.
So you kind of need two hands to open it.
To Morgan Jacobson at Montana FWP, it's still a growing trend.
Once they gain a food source at someone's home, it's nearly impossible to rehabilitate the bear, and it usually ends up with the bear having to be euthanized.
Which had to happen here.
It's one of 6 now that have had to be euthanized so far this season.
Is that a high number compared to years past?
It is. We are in a drought year. That does have the potential for us to see bears in areas where, they're less common.
So these black bears are among other animals seeking easier ways to survive, just like us. But in the wrong places, that can just as often end in death.
If they can get an easy food reward from something like a garbage can, they're going to keep coming back, and that's not something we want to see.
And while signs are posted on trails like the Galligator Trail near Bogart, it's awareness that Jacobson says will go a long way to help everyone, including the bear.
Wildlife is what makes Montana special. Living here comes with certain responsibilities.
In Bozeman, Cody Boyer, MTN News.
Now, it's important to note that officer was carrying the bear when it was tranquilized, and at that point they were relocating it. Montana FWP wardens say you can check out icgbonline.org for a list of certified bear-resistant items to help avoid situations like this one, including garbage cans, bird feeders, and there's even electric fencing available for chicken coops. 6:38 now. Today, as many as 39 million families will have a little extra in their bank accounts. That's because the first monthly installment of the child tax credit will be distributed nationwide. But parents, should you save the money or spend it right away? Our Joe St. George has a look at how spending the money now could negatively affect your banking account later.
The child tax credit usually comes as one lump sum starting Thursday. Half of it will be distributed in monthly installments. It's meant to help parents offset the high costs of raising a child, like paying for childcare or perhaps an education-related expense. For lower-income families, it's meant to help put food on the table. If your child's under the age of 6, expect around $300 per qualifying child each month. If your child's between the ages of 6 and 17, expect around $250 per child. Benefits phase out for couples making more than $150,000 combined.
Parents, you can count on this monthly money through the rest of the year. It will be deposited into your bank accounts on the 15th of every month through December, with the exception of August. It'll come on August 13th since the 15th falls on the weekend. And for the moment, it remains just a perk for 2021, although some lawmakers here on Capitol Hill want to make it permanent. Financial experts caution, however, some parents should save the money if they don't necessarily need it. And here's why.
Let's say you typically owe the IRS $5,000 in taxes each year. The 2021 tax credit is worth on average $3,000 per child, which means if you have one child, your check to the IRS would be for $2,000, assuming there are no other credits or deductions. But remember, half of that child tax credit is now being distributed ahead of time, which means next year you'll owe $3,500 to the IRS instead of $2,000, since you will have already been given that money. If you saved it, writing that check will be easy. If you haven't, well, for many, the tax bill will be a bit more of a challenge. If you aren't confident in your ability to save, the IRS is allowing families each month the opportunity to opt out of the monthly payments, giving you the money to use next year when you file your taxes instead. Some parents are doing that because they prefer one large check to 6 smaller checks. As for whether or not these monthly installments are here to stay, we'll find out in the coming weeks. Democrats on Capitol Hill are trying to make the monthly payments a permanent benefit for parents and include it in the upcoming infrastructure or spending bill. In Washington, I'm Joe St. George.
Again, nothing is for free. That's how that works. 6:41. Let's take a break. What would you think if the government decided what kind of music you could listen to in the gym? Well, that's happening in South Korea. We'll explain why after the break. But first, let's check in with Gail King to see what's coming up at 7 o'clock on CBS This Morning.
Good morning to you. Ahead on CBS This Morning, the country is seeing a sharp increase in COVID cases as the Delta variant spreads. We'll talk with the CDC director about concerns over low vaccination rates among teenagers and young adults. It's not good. And Britney Spears wins the right to hire her own lawyer in her fight to end the 13-year legal arrangement that she says has controlled her life. What she's now saying about her father, an emotional new criticism of him. And professional big wave surfer. This guy is amazing. Garrett McNamara is his name. He'll join us today. We'll discuss a new documentary about his journey to find and conquer the world's biggest waves. Wow. We'll see you at 7 o'clock. Straight up.